Riding in the rain, I'm just riding in the rain. What a wonderful feeling. I'm hap. Well, yeah, I'm ready. Yeah, turn on the mic. I'm ready. Hey, Nick with Champ School, talking about rain riding today. It's something that is on everybody's mind when it starts to rain. Should I go out? Should I not go out? And hopefully the techniques that we talk about in this next couple minutes, especially talking to Chris Paris in a minute, will encourage you to go on out. So let's look at a couple things that have to happen. If you're a racer and you're wondering if I should go out in a rain practice, look at the forecast. If it's going to rain or chance of rain during your race, probably on Sunday, then you should go out and practice in the rain. And if it's 100% sunny on Sunday and it's not going to rain, then a lot of the top riders will not risk practicing in the rain. So think about it that way. If you're a track day rider, you've just traveled 5 hours and spent money on a track day, and you show up and it's raining or starts to rain, one of the things that we'll talk about quite a bit is rain tires. And if you're really into it and you've got a truck and a trailer and a bike and leathers, then why don't you spend a little extra, get a second set of wheels and mount rain tires on them. Keep them covered in a dark place. Don't let them sit in the sun during the summer, but have them ready to go so when it starts to rain you can throw them on, because a rain tire changes everything and it gets to be very, very good. If you are going to go out on a DOT race tire, be very, very cautious, because the siping, as you look at your tire, the siping ends as it goes onto the sidewall, and basically the edges of a DOT race tire are slicks, and the grip is very, very low in the rain. So if you are going to go out in the rain on a DOT race tire, then just realize that you cannot lean over onto that slick part of this non-siped tire. And I know that from experience by laying down in the dirt. Laguna Seca turn 10 in the rain practice when I just leaned it over too far and put it on the slicks, even on a relatively warm DOT race tire. So rain tires are a big thing, and as we get into rain tires, you'll start to realize how quickly you can go. Drag your knee, all sorts of things really start to happen. If you're at a track day, think about the gear you'll wear. Bring an extra set of gloves or two. If you know it's going to rain, you can put your feet into plastic bags before you put them in the boots. That helps keep the feet dry, and you can wear disposable gloves inside your racing gloves. A lot of riders do that in the rain or even in the cold. That helps. You want to tape your nose off to the helmet, especially if you wear glasses. So that's simply, you put your helmet on and you probably have a nose fog protection in there already. You basically take duct tape and tape off that fog piece right to your nose. And if you're lucky enough to have a great big gigantic nose like me, it's a lot of room to tape onto, so that really helps. Let's get the phone going here and call up Chris Paris. And Chris Paris, of course, one of the instructors at YCRS, one of the owners of YCRS. And Chris's last AMA National win was in the rain at Elkhart Lake. And I think he pulled out a 30-second lead, and then they brought out the pace car, and I think he won it by a second over some guy named Roger Hayden. So, Chris, that was a pretty good day, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah. So why are you quick in the rain? I've seen you up at Calgary as well, on the podium in a Canadian National in the rain, winning in 600 Supersport. What's the secrets, Chris?
Yeah, you kind of wish that there would be that secret, but I mean, it really is all the exact same stuff. You know, when the grip is down due to the rain, really it comes down to that idea of good technique. If you're doing something wrong that maybe you're getting away with in the dry, it gets exponentially worse in the wet. So yeah, realizing that it's not two different riding styles for the rain versus the dry. It's really kind of working on all the fundamentals that we work so hard at the school on, is just getting the sport going the right direction.
Good. And Chris, some of the most the biggest learning comes during our rain days at the school, and it's on body too. That really takes a big step. And what are you thinking about when you're racing in rain with body?
Yeah, realizing that it comes back to that 100 points grip idea. If you have more body, you could run less lean angle, which is what the bike really wants. So, it's also having a little bit of body left in reserve. When the bike breaks tracks, and it's normally pretty quick in the wet, so having the ability to drop your head that last little bit and try to pick it up onto the center of the tire becomes a pretty big deal. So, we've worked so hard at it so we can kind of make those adjustments when it really counts, which is, the front starting to tuck into the corner, the rear starting to spin coming out. We can really use our body to offset that lean angle.
Yeah, I love it. And Chris, the for the people who are listening, they go to a track day. It starts to rain. What's your advice? Stay in, go out, go have a beer. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, it really is the best learning opportunity, just because all these things really come into play. So I'm a big fan of learning to ride in the wet, and that's why the schools go so well in the wet. Is it's when you do things a little bit wrong, like you're not understanding the idea of direction, and you pick the throttle up too early, you'll feel the bike immediately get in a TC and start kind of slowing the bike down. So it's like when you really get the bike pointed, it's like, wow, this thing really drives off the corner. So I think it really does help in a lot of those situations. And, it's good to kind of start learning how to get a feel for putting a load into the tire. And I think the biggest thing that we see is people go, oh, it's raining, I got to be really gentle and all these things. And yes, you're going to be very smooth, and these inputs are going to be very linear, but man, the tire still needs to have a load to work. The steering geometry still needs to change by how we use those brakes. So I think it's a fantastic learning tool. If you're at a track day, it starts raining, man, get out there and play with some of these things. So obviously, tires come into to play a little bit. If you're on slicks, maybe not so much. But if you're on a great Q3 plus or some kind of tire with some siping in it, you can really learn a lot.
I love it, brother. Well, thanks very much. I know you're on your way to a New Year's celebration, so enjoy. Say hi to Jen for us, and we appreciate talking to AMA winner. Thanks for letting me call you.
Right on.
Talk soon.
Bye.
That's Chris Paris talking to us about some things. So let's look at some of the things that Chris is talking about. One of the mental views you can get is you're going to push the tire through the water. So rather than think about I'm going to load the tire, think about I'm going to close the throttle, squeeze on the brakes to push the front tire through the water onto the pavement surface. As you come off the brakes, think about that initial throttle, moves weight backward, it pushes the rear tire through the water onto the surface. That's a great mental piece to have for rain riding. You can be quite aggressive in straight line acceleration and braking, especially on rain tires, but still have to have linear inputs. A lot of us train on dirt bikes, and I think that Keith Culver has done really well in the rain on a road racer, and he's an excellent dirt biker, supermoto champion in Southern California. And that bike moving around in the dirt and spinning and sliding and pushing is great training. So if you don't have a dirt bike, especially if you live in a place where it rains a lot, get a dirt bike. Practice on your rains. Full Grand Prix on the body. Get a habit for that.
Oh yeah, that's the magazine shot right there, brother man.
And think about something that we learned the hard way. If you have rivers running across the track, if you have puddles on the track, in other words, it's been drying, but there are still some rivers in the worst areas. We've had riders go through the river of water, think they're safe, and then pick the throttle up and crash because the sipes of the tires, the grooves in the tires held that water, so they went through the puddle, thought, oh, I'm fine, I'm back on the dry racetrack, picked the throttle up and crashed. So think about that when you're on a drying track that still has puddles. Think about after the puddle, you've got to stay smooth. I want to close with a little bit of street riding stuff because that's, we all street ride and love street riding. One of the secrets of street riding is get the right gear. Boy, when you are in the rain with a rain suit on, you've got rain gloves, rain boots, you're all taped off, you've got your zippers all the way up your neck. It is so much fun. You've got water streaming off your helmet, but it can't touch you. You can see the water, but you can't feel the water, and that is wonderful. And those of us who've ridden on the street in the wrong gear, the cold water always seems to find itself to your crotch. I don't know why that is, but that's the way it goes. So street riders, get the right gear, have it in your gear, have it in your bags, have it ready to go, because that is a secret deal. And if you're riding on worn out tires on the street, of course, 100 points of grip is way down. Make sure those sipings are very good. We're on a Q3 Plus most of the time at our schools, and they're awesome. That's a great tire for track and street riding in the rain if you need to. For street riding and track riding, we've got to be careful of the paint. It's slippery, so if you're making a pass in the rain, and be cautious of that center line, the thing will spin a little bit. And the Grand Prix tracks have sanded paint. In other words, there's sand in that paint so that the grip is pretty good, but American tracks do not. So we leave the curbings and the paint alone in the rain. And then for street especially, but at some older racetracks as well, we've got to be cautious of changing conditions of the pavement. And for tracks, there might be some patches that are put in. There might even be tar snakes that are slippery on the street. Certainly tar snakes, and middle of the lane in cities are slippery because that's where the oil drips off. So we're always thinking about that. Street riding in the rain is changing conditions, changing traction conditions, and of course that gets us back into that we ride with our friends on the street, and we get to go to the racetrack to go as fast as we can go. Close with Freddie Spencer, a 3-time world champion. And Freddie was teaching school, and a lot of us worked at Freddie Spencer School. And he's talking up there, and somebody raises their hand, and they say, "Hey, Freddie, will you ever teach us to ride in the rain?" And Freddie paused for a second, and he said, "That's all I'm doing." And that gets back to Chris Paris's comment. If you're riding poorly in the dry and getting away with it because you have grip, the rain will catch you out. So you're working on riding in the rain every time you ride on the dry. Let's close with Gene Kelly's "Riding in the Rain." Here's a world famous, sang that song, "Riding in the Rain," just riding. You remember that one? And a lot of people don't know Gene Kelly was actually he's leading the 500 Grand Prix World Championship, and he just had to finish 7th in the last race. It was a rain race, and somebody in the crowd was eating popcorn, and the wind was blowing. It was terrible weather, and the popcorn blew across the track and caught in the front wheel of Gene Kelly's 500 Grand Prix bike, and it was really buttery popcorn, and the butter lubed his disc, and he couldn't get the bike stopped, and then Kenny Roberts won the 1978 World Championship because of that. But Gene wrote that great song, "Riding in the Rain." Little things like that, kind of fun. Nick Einach, Champ Talk. Thanks.